2.
Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the weekly media briefing and public health update with Montgomery County Executive Marc Elrich. I'm Lauren Abadilla, Hispanic Public Information Officer. Welcome, everybody. And joining us today is Mr. Sean O'Donnell, Acting Deputy Chief of Public Health Services for the Department of Health and Human Services. Mr. County Executive, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning. And if I was still in Korea or China, it would be 12 hours later. So good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This week, I'm glad to be joined on this briefing by Judy Costello. She's our Special Projects Manager for Business Innovation and Economic Development. And Judy works nonstop at finding potential opportunities for economic development. And I know everybody who's worked with her will emphasize the nonstop part of this. And over the past 14 months, we've planned 2 trips to Taiwan, our visit to India and Vietnam last fall, as well as our recent mission to South Korea and Vietnam. South Korea and China. Vietnam we did last fall. Next week, Judy and I will be attending the International Bio Conference in San Diego because it provides a unique opportunity to showcase the work being done here in our county and to position us as a top destination for bio and tech investment and talent. We attended this conference last year in Boston, and it was pretty impressive. We made some pretty good connections there. Some of our connections actually helped us on our India trip. They were able to connect with universities and some businesses there, and they wound up helping us plan our meetings in India. So there's good that comes out of these conferences, and we're really working to raise our visibility. Our region is the 3rd largest bio and life sciences cluster in the nation, behind the Bay Area and Boston, Bay Area, San Francisco, Bay Area, and Boston. And our community is home to some of the most innovative companies and research institutions in the world. Our institutions, though, are better known than our bio cluster. So part of what we're doing is working to boost the recognition of everything the county has. The summit in San Diego is one of the largest gatherings of its kind. It brings together industry leaders and researchers and policymakers from around the globe. By participating, we're able to learn more about the advances in biotechnology, gain insights to some of the emerging trends, and forge real connections with some of these companies that can lead to new partnerships and collaborations. Moreover, our presence at this conference demonstrates our commitment to supporting and growing the biotech industry in the county. We have a good story to tell, and getting a platform to tell it has been really, I think, effective for us. And it's a chance to highlight our strategic advantages, such as our highly educated workforce, robust infrastructure, and our ongoing efforts to create a business-friendly environment. These elements are crucial to attracting new companies and ensuring that existing ones continue to thrive. And attending the conference also allows us to advocate for our local businesses on a national and international stage. We can share our successes and address challenges and work together with other stakeholders to drive innovation and economic growth. And this is the kind of work we have to do in order to maintain our competitive edge and ensuring that Montgomery County remains in the forefront of the biotech industry. So my attendance next week and Judy's attendance is going to be more about than just being there. It's about actively promoting our county and building relationships and bringing back opportunities to the county. And that's what Judy and I and our Economic Development Corporation has done during our overseas trips as well. It's actually very helpful, particularly on our overseas trips, because we've had a lot of folks who are native to, for example, Korea and China come with us and accompany us on these trips. And their ability to tell the story about why Montgomery County is a good place to be really helps in communicating with leaders in other countries who want to know not just, do you have a good biotech center, but what's the environment going to be there if a company moves there? So I think it's been really encouraging to be able to have these meetings. For reporters here from media briefings over the last few weeks, you already know about the memorandum of understanding Montgomery County signed with Rapigen, so I'm not going to dwell on that too long. Signing an agreement with the South Korean diagnostics company gives our county the opportunity to host their first labs at the Germantown Innovative Center. And I'll show you some pictures from our trip. And I want to welcome Judy right now to talk a little bit about what we did. So Judy.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. County Executive. So in that Rapidan memorandum of understanding, not only commemorates their commitment to expanding their operations into our Germantown Innovation Center, but once they get their test kits through FDA, they've committed to building their manufacturing center for those test kits here in Montgomery County. I think PIO picked a couple pictures because they wanted us to give you a little flavor of what we did. But our top priorities, as a county executive referenced, for all these trips have been, one, to recruit prospects and collaborators from other countries to help jobs grow here in the county. Two, to help our county businesses grow through partnerships, through collaborations, and they're finding suppliers overseas. Three, to promote the county on the international stage, as he mentioned. And four, to find innovation hubs that we can partner with. So when their companies, whether in India, China, Korea, Taiwan, are ready to enter the U.S. market, we know about them and they know about Montgomery County, and view us as a place to land. And we have found in each of these countries that, as the county executive referenced, it's very helpful for us to be there. We've had companies say, we knew about California, we knew about Boston. We didn't realize how much biotech and advanced tech Montgomery County has until you walked us through it. So how we've scheduled each of these trips around a big event to leverage some work that others are doing as an opportunity for us to meet prospects and promote Montgomery County. And that's how this trip to Korea and China was planned. It was time to align with the Bio Korea event, where we met prospects at the conference. We met leaders of innovation hubs, and we also attended other events and signed a couple agreements in Korea at the same time. Next. We also, we've done this in the other countries, we did this in China and Korea. Once we pick the dates, we've worked with partners overseas to create events that would be attractive to business prospects, to companies in this case, China, who might be looking for U.S. market entry. We partnered with U.S. Pharmacopoeia, who some of you may know, their world headquarters is right here in Rockville. They set standards for the ingredients that go into the medicines we all take every day, and vitamins, certain supplements. Well, they have an operation in Shanghai, and they agreed to host a networking and information event with other partners, the China Biopharmaceutical Association, ISBE, and the Maryland Department of Commerce, who have presence both in the county and in Shanghai. And at this event, we had about 25 people, and I think we have at least a half dozen solid prospect leads from this particular roundtable. And we did an event like this roundtable in each of the cities we visited. There were 6 cities: Osong, Seoul, Daejeon in Korea, and then Xi'an, Shenzhen, and Shanghai in China. Next slide, please. This is a photo of a meeting that the county executive had with the leader of Xi'an. The county executive's predecessor had signed sister city agreements with both Xi'an and Daejeon that we renewed on this trip, but we expanded the sister city agreements to focus not only on culture, but also on economic trade that's mutually beneficial. And that emphasis on helping businesses on both sides of the ocean grow through collaboration and opportunity seemed to be well received in every city that we visited. This is the formal meeting prior to the signing, the renewal of a 10-year partnership agreement, renewal and expansion of it between the county executive and the leader of Xi'an. Next, please. This is that leader again. Part of our mission is to promote the county resources, organizations like NIH, FDA, our new Institute for Health Computing, and the many companies here who are leaders. And in every city, we, among other things, the cultural protocol is to exchange a gift, and we exchange a gift that lists Montgomery County companies here who also have a presence, in this case, in China, and vice versa. And that seems to be well received and commemorates the trip. Next, please. The county executive got to have a little bit of fun while we visited new technologies. So in each of these cities, we talk about being not only biotech, but other advanced tech. Many of you may know some of the companies in Germantown and North Bethesda and elsewhere in the county that are focused on satellite and radar and nanotech and chips. And in this case, it's an EV manufacturer in Xi'an that I think the county executive can comment if they're
Yeah.
It is the largest factory any of us have seen, the most robotic factory any of us have seen. And I'm trying to remember, it was 30 cars off the line an hour, I believe. It's just the incredible use. It shows one of the common themes, particularly in China, is that everything is at scale. There, as you know, more people, more office space, more lab space, and more cars coming off a line.
Yeah, Judy, I want to talk a little bit about this. I mean, it was pretty amazing because as you went through the factory floor, you actually didn't see any workers until you got to the last station. I remember thinking to myself, I see more people cleaning here than I see assembling cars. And the robots pretty much handled the entire assembly of the car, except for interior components to the passenger cabin, where they were putting in some of the small pieces that were like trim pieces. And, there's a good and bad in this. And we talked a little bit about this with the people at the company. Is on the one hand, the automation is pretty impressive, and obviously it speeds the ability to make a car, which has cost impacts. The other side of it is it doesn't rely on human beings, and so it's a lot of manufacturing without people, and there are consequences to that. And I think everybody recognizes that automation, this tech, is like a double-edged sword. It can make things faster and easier to build, but can also displace a workforce. And unless society is prepared to deal with how are we going to take people out of one industry and put them into something else, it could have social challenges for the United States. I'd say it's not unlike coal mining. I'm a big supporter of shutting the coal mines, but leaving everybody unemployed without a plan for how they're going to be employed going forward, I think, has been one of the biggest problems that we've had in being able to convince parts of the country to accept this transition, because they know that if they shut down an institution like a coal mine or, wood harvesting, that there may not be a plan to keep those people employed when those factories are gone. So I think everybody needs to think about this. I know they think about it. I'm certainly well aware of it. And I just think it's important to note the double-edged sword, the kind of beauty of watching machines silently put stuff together, and the recognition there aren't any people there doing it.
That's important. The other thing that at the end, where we saw men and women working on the finishing touches, most of them were younger. And we understand there and in other cities in China, and we saw this in Vietnam, they are the double-edged sword again for how long it will last, but they were recruiting people from more rural and lower income portions of the country, and in their belief, raising the economy of those areas by giving them the jobs, even the fewer jobs at the end of the line. Next, please. This is one of several health facilities, hospitals, and clinics that we visited. We visited them for several reasons. Each of them have innovators who are working on many of the same health challenges that we have here, and they're looking for collaborators and opportunities to develop or co-develop products or drugs. We met people working on at the health centers on diabetes, on a lot of solutions. I think there's a slide later about the conference we had that was focused particularly on family and community health. We learned that in 1949, the longevity of the average person in China was 49 years old. And today that has risen to 84. And 1/3 of China's 1.3 billion population is considered senior. Their retirement and their senior status starts a little younger, but so they are very focused on preventive health care and on care for the elderly, including using technology like robotics to help with home care. I don't know, Mark, if you want to add anything else, but
I mean, I think the most interesting part of this was seeing a lot of the tech that is either wearable or easily transportable. So that one of the big things, and I know there's an interest in this here, is being able to do patient monitoring at home without, requiring, the presence of a nurse, or being able to have remote monitoring devices in a hospital so that nurses don't have to go and do rounds and disturb patients and collect data in the middle of the night, but are able to actually gather this information through devices that are connected remotely and wirelessly to displays where people can actually monitor patient health, blood pressure, breathing, a number of things without actually being in the room with the patient. And, as everybody struggles to provide more healthcare, some of this tech is really important. The faster a doctor's visit can be, the more people that can be seen. There's a lot of things that are pretty impressive. I think when we were in Korea, they were requiring that everybody get a scan like once a year. And if an employer's employees didn't get the scans, the employer got fined. And part of the reason for doing it is early detection of diseases. They're able to do scans that discovered diseases early. And they were able to point to and say that the result of early detection in doing these scans has led to reductions in some diseases because the ability to catch things early in the process rather than when they fully manifest themselves and you're sick. Sometimes you can see the precursors of that and deal with the problem a lot earlier. So it's a lot of interesting tech out there, and a lot of it could be for the good of all of us in terms of our healthcare. So the question is, how do we get it? How do we implement it? And can we do it in a way that's affordable? But it's kind of amazing to see.
and we did, I don't think there are pictures here, but we did learn a lot about Korea and its role as a medical tourism destination, in large part due to the fact that you can go in and get a full body scan, multiple scans, multi-cancer test, everything in a half day, even as an outsider where you wouldn't be penalized for not doing. For anybody interested in that, they do have data, particularly stomach cancer was a very high prevalence in South Korea. And they've dropped it to almost nil by doing this early detection. Next, please. This was just another picture that I think PIO found interesting, but it's our team meeting the leadership of the healthcare facility. Next, please. We met with a wide variety of prospects, not only biotech and advanced tech, but some educational institutions where and Chinese private investors have set up a platform of building a campus, providing top-rate facilities for a wide range of STEM technologies, as well as things like fencing and outdoor life. And they bring in operators from Europe, from Switzerland to manage those private independent schools with the goal of they're earning money, but they're bringing more international education to different communities. And we have someone we met with there who we may be following up with. Next, please. The county executive mentioned the tech. We met with a wide range of tech. This is some leading edge technology that they're working on getting through FDA. This was in South Korea, and it's they have the ability to basically inject a new lens. The company also does other things with retina, but it's a better alternative than the gold standard now for people with different vision challenges. Next, please. another vehicle company, BYD in Shenzhen, which has now formed a fully US operation, making
School buses.
school buses in Lancaster, California. We've met with them a couple times. They asked us to meet with them at their headquarters, and the equipment that they showed, they had a wall full of patents. They are the leader next to Tesla of 100 different EV companies in China. In the interest of time, we'll move forward, and then the county executive may want to add to that. Next, please. Next,
Other
please.
car, yeah.
Some more, this is a med tech company that we're working on recruiting their US office here. And we can't name these until they're here. Next, please. A robotics company with very personable robots. You've probably seen some versions of this on 60 Minutes and otherwise, but the more relevant part that the county executive already talked to, they have a whole division that works on healthcare and assisting, the robots in restaurants, the robots who do maintenance on aircraft and fleets, but assisting in home healthcare is a big part of what they do. And we got to see that. I think that's almost near the end of your slides. Next, please. And that's about it. So the other thing that's not referenced here is we did take about 12 Montgomery County residents went to Korea and China, and they were all representing businesses except for one who represented the Sister Cities committee, and they all did their own partnering meetings and joined us at different site visits. So we were helping to promote them as well as recruiting prospects. And this has a group of some of them. So thank you very much.
So thank you, Judy. And so the only one thing I want to add is just to explain, the effort to recruit drug companies, not just in China and Korea, but in India and Vietnam and Taiwan, is that there is no universal approval for a drug being able to come to market. So the U.S. has an FDA. A lot of these countries have their own equivalent to FDA. Europe has that. But approval by any one of the FDAs doesn't mean automatic approval by another FDA. So if you're approved in Europe, or you're approved in China or South Korea or India, you still have to go through the FDA process here in the United States. And that's one of the things that we know. We're dealing with companies that are interested in getting into the US market with the drugs they're producing. And it's, Americans ought to have available the best drugs that are possible, regardless of the original origin of production. So it's critical that they go through FDA processes here in the United States. And it's something that, Montgomery County can especially help with, because the FDA is here, but also because a lot of people who are advisors or consultants on the regulatory process are here in Montgomery County. So it's one of the selling points is that you'd be located in a county that is very much able to support efforts to take your products through the FDA process. And that applies not just to drugs, but also applies to some of the equipment. So it's a selling point, and it's something that people take note of. And the other thing is, Maryland's proximity to Baltimore and railroads gives us a kind of unique transportation system that is not available in many cities in the United States. So it's another reason that we're attractive to people doing any kind of manufacturing, because obviously you're not manufacturing drugs for the Montgomery County market or the Maryland market. You're manufacturing them for a broader market. And this is an opportunity to help people get that entree. So it's one reason that, we get interest from companies about coming here, even though they're approved in whatever their home country is. They want access to this market, and we're the doorway to the market.
And the only other thing I neglected to mention, which everyone on the call knows, is that how diverse our county is a huge selling point when we're overseas, where people know that they'll find 16% or more of our population looking like them if they're from Asia. So the highly educated, diverse workforce that you hear us promote a lot is well received when we are talking about that overseas. as well as our proximity to the port and the nonstop flights to most of the world and the rest of the country. Thank you.
So thanks again, and thanks for helping put Montgomery County in the radar of some of these companies. I look forward to continued progress in this front. On my travels, it was clear that these countries, like every other community around the world and every government, are dealing with the impacts of climate change. During the trips, I had the opportunity to see some of the efforts others are making to combat climate change. Some countries have, for example, far more advanced recycling smaller fractions of the waste stream rather than burning them or burying them. And everybody deals with the same issue of running out of places to safely bury waste and the problems that come with incineration. So Montgomery County's dealing with the same issues that pretty much everybody else is dealing with. Climate change solutions also do bring good jobs and healthier homes and communities, and they can address environmental injustices, but they face a lot of obstacles even now. I want to thank Congressman Jamie Raskin and his colleagues for shedding more light on one barrier to rapidly implementing climate solutions, and that's the fossil fuel companies' campaign of deception and denial. This week, they formally referred their findings to the Department of Justice and asked them to review their findings. Last month, Representative Raskin and Senator Sheldon Whitehouse released a joint staff report entitled Denial, Disinformation, and Doublespeak: Big Oil's Evolving Efforts to Avoid Accountability for Climate Change. And the report unveiled new documents exposing the fossil fuel industry's role in spreading climate disinformation and preventing action on climate change. And key findings in the report include: first, internal documents obtained by the investigation demonstrate for the first time that fossil companies do not dispute that they have known for more than 60 years that burning fossil fuel causes climate change, yet have worked for decades to undermine public understanding and to deny the underlying science. In fall of 2015, blockbuster reporting by Inside Climate News and the Los Angeles Times revealed that big oil companies such as ExxonMobil Corporation knew that burning fossil fuels was a major contributor to climate change, and companies publicly rejected the reporting at the time. An early draft of Exxon's response accused reporters of journalistic malpractice. That must mean reporting the news. But new documents show the fossil fuel companies internally didn't dispute the findings. Big Oil's deception campaign evolved from explicit denial of the basic science underlying climate change to deception, disinformation, and doublespeak. The fossil fuel industry relies on trade associations to spread confusing and misleading narratives and to lobby against climate action. The fossil fuel industry evolved from denying climate science to spreading disinformation and perpetuating doublespeak about the safety of natural gas and the industry's commitment to reducing greenhouse gases. So this campaign of deception and denial made climate change seem confusing and complicated, and combating it made it seem impossible. But it doesn't have to be that. We know the way forward, including to stop burning fossil fuels, power our homes and vehicles with clean energy, and use less electricity and increase green space. The path that can change where we are is pretty clear. Not everything we're going to be able to do we know right now. We talk about Montgomery County's very advanced climate goals, but we also know that when we put these goals in place, we didn't actually know how we would get there. We just knew we had to get there. But I think the majority of the council had faith that over time, which always happens, frankly, things evolve and develop to make things possible that you once thought were impossible. I think that we would all, if we were honest about it, admit that we're living in a world that was pretty hard to imagine 20 years ago, but here it is, and we're dealing with it. So I think the same thing is true about the technology that could help us put an end to the emission of greenhouse gases. I know a lot of people are baffled at the level of climate denial in the general population. A lot of us wonder, how come people don't get this? And it's kind of hard not to notice the very tangible shifts in weather that we're all experiencing. But decades of lies put forward by respected leaders, backed by lots of money and effective false advertising, has left a lot of people believing that this was a hoax or a liberal conspiracy at worst, or simply the natural rhythm of climate at best. And it's not easy to say to people that everything you've been told for almost 70 years is a lie, so change how you think. I acknowledge that this is not an easy transformation. We have a lot of work to do because we really need more people to understand that we have some personal responsibility to contribute to solutions. And step one is convincing as many skeptics as possible that there is actually a problem, and that the problem can be solved by us all working together. I think the most distressing thing that I've seen in doing a little bit of research on this is a 1958 excerpt from a TV show that was on regular television. It was sponsored by Bell Labs, and they actually talk about climate change and greenhouse gases back then. So 1958 is what, 66 years ago? That's a long time to have known about a problem and not do anything about it. But there's been a lot of work to convince people there is no problem. And that's the work we have to do, is to undo that so we can get a better understanding of what we need to do. Our county's commitment is unwavering in this, and we're mobilizing resources and engaging with the community and leveraging technology and innovation to meet our targets. We're aggressively seeking federal and state funds for these actions, but we need to invest county resources as well. That was one of the little things that was disappointing about the budget that we just passed. We adopted operating budget that included Great Seneca Transit Network. That's important to expand high quality public transportation. We enhanced climate communication and expanded zero waste initiatives. But we also didn't fund some programs that were meant to implement legislation that the council passed and I supported. I hope the next year climate priorities include a position to expand solar adoption in the county and energy audits for low-income housing and other under-resourced buildings to show how they can actually save money by using less energy and having healthier air by switching from gas to electric. The county needs to play a role in a lot of these places. The biggest role we can play is as an educator, and I'm hoping we're able to, fulfill more of that role as we move forward. So before we open it up to question, I'm going to give my staff an opportunity to provide any updates on health that they'd like to share, and I'm going to start with our health team.
Good morning, or good afternoon, and thank you, Mr. County Executive. We wanted to take a brief moment just to update the public and the media that we are switching our vital records from walk-ins to appointments only. So birth certificates can be obtained on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and death certificates on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Appointments can be scheduled over the phone by calling 240-773-1207. We will still offer a limited number of walk-in appointments, 2 hours in the morning from 8:30 to 10:30 on Mondays and Wednesdays on a first come, first served basis for both birth certificates as well as death certificates. So please note that our vital records are now moving to appointment only. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team or call the number I just shared, 240-773-1207. Thank you.
Mr. O'Donnell, any updates from your end? No?
No further updates on, we're fortunately remaining very low in our respiratory infectious diseases.
Thank you. Well, members of the media, this is the time we open it up for Q&A. Please raise your hand and we'll call you. We'll give you a couple of seconds for you to raise your hands. Oh, there's Jeannie Bixby from Local 360. Good afternoon, Jeannie.
Hi, Ginny.
You might need to unmute.
I'm sorry, I was just yapping away without you here. Good morning, Lorna. Hi, Mark. Mark, I saw that you announced a new director of strategic partnerships, Tricia Swanson. Could you just talk a little bit about what that role is going to do for the county executive office?
So that's the role that was previously filled by Ken Hartman.
Okay.
It's the role of basically they communicate with the council. They do work with both before we send something over or when we send something over. They'll do meetings with council members, help explain what we're doing, and they do some external work. They'll, be helping us with some issues with state legislatures. So they do a variety of things that help us communicate with the outside world of other political entities that we pretty much deal with.
Yeah,
And so it's not a change from Ken's current role.
got it. Could you talk a little bit about why you picked Miss Swanson?
So I've known her for a long time. She's been involved as a lobbyist for a number of different organizations. She lobbied for the chamber here in Montgomery County. She's lobbied for healthcare at the state level. I think she even worked for the school system at one point. She's highly regarded. She's considered, as effective, but also just is really good at representing the views or positions that that people ask her to represent. And I know her, she's got a pretty good commitment to things that I'm interested in. And I felt like, we were looking for somebody, and, she came to the top of the list pretty quickly.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank
was
you,
all.
Jenny. Oh, do you have a follow-up question, Jenny?
No, I just said that's all I have today
Okay,
for now.
thank you. Members of the media, any more questions? Please raise your hand. No more questions this afternoon? Going once, going twice? Okay, thank you for joining us. Stay safe and have a great afternoon. We'll see you next time.